Welcome back, everyone. It's middays. We're coming at you from the Element Wealth Studio, kicking off a brand new week here on SuperTalk Mississippi. It's our pleasure to welcome now Chris Brown, the Public Service Commissioner for Mississippi's Northern District. Commissioner, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you having me.
You bet. So the big, beautiful bill had a lot of stuff in it that affected lots of different areas. Did it affect and will it affect your purview there with respect to energy and regulation of utilities providing energy?
You know, it will. The biggest focus of the big, beautiful bill, as the president calls it, is trying to streamline the process and get rid of what he considers government waste.
Yeah.
So a lot of the green subsidies are subsidizing a form of energy generation that is not very efficient and doesn't survive in the free market. So he suspended, the House did away with the green subsidies.
Yep.
The Senate put it back in, and so he was able to get the House to support the Senate version because he promised to give an EO to instruct the Department of Treasury not to distribute the money to the Green New Deal projects.
Okay. But is this welcome news, though, Commissioner, to streamline some of the permitting process? So how does that work? Are there permits required at both the federal and the state level for some of these energy projects?
A lot of it's the Wild Wild West. So that there's a lot of, when you don't have true free market, you have distortions in the market that are generated by those subsidies, and so there's legitimate concerns about grid reliability.
Yeah. Based
on what is too much, because we have frequency in hertz, and solar doesn't generate any frequency.
Yeah.
But you have to have frequency to run your appliances and electrical devices, and we saw Portugal. They had too much solar online, and their system crashed. And so now they're trying to discover, okay, what's too much? So there's some grid reliability and resiliency issues that are yet to be determined by a lot of this green energy.
Okay. Well, as you know, the president is well aware that we've got this explosion of artificial intelligence, which necessitates the building out of data centers, which consume lots of power, lots of electricity specifically. And he was at a summit, you're probably aware, a couple of weeks ago with Senator Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania, and he talked about the need to expand and bolster our energy footprint so we can accommodate all this investment. And Mississippi, of course, is no stranger to that as well. But he's pretty focused on really getting industry to make these investments. Are you seeing activities in the Northern District towards that?
In the Northern District, we do have the biggest news is it's quasi-government, the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority. The way to the future is nuclear.
Yep.
Because it's clean, it's reliable, it's 90% on, compared to wind. Wind is less than 40%, and solar is less than 30%. Natural gas runs about 60% on. And then in comparison, nuclear is 90% efficient.
Okay.
So they commissioned their first SMR, which is small modular reactor, in the Clinch River project. It's in Tennessee, but they're testing concept with the 300 megawatt GE BWR X300, which is going to produce 300 megawatts. They commissioned it last year, scheduled to be built out in 2 years. So once they have that design and it's up and going, they'll replicate that around the valley.
Okay.
So that's
good. That's good news.
Yes, sir. It's very good news. We're behind the Chinese and the Russians on SMR design and deployment, but we're catching up fast with this project. So the biggest cost is the first one, right? So TVA is kind of taking it on the chin to get the first one developed. And then companies like Entergy, Mississippi Power, and others can contract with GE to build the same thing in their locations.
Right.
So it should be a game changer for power in the United States.
Well, the president made it clear and delivered a strong message. He said, we're leading China, our most ardent foe, arguably, in artificial intelligence and data center construction, but we're lagging with respect to increasing our energy output. And he made that a central part of his message a couple of weeks ago. So it's good that the White House and the Trump administration recognizes this need. Are you hearing, or are you interacting, Commissioner, with your counterparts in other parts of the country? What are they saying or hearing?
We are. I'm actually was recently elected president of CRUC, which is just think of the SEC version of state regulators.
Okay.
So we just came back from a conference in Texas with them. We have another meeting next week with the national version of the national group of regulators that we'll discuss these issues. But everybody's excited about, number one, that we were able to change the administration. We were headed down a dark path, and literally and figuratively, with the Biden administration. We can look towards Germany to see what we didn't want to do, but the Biden administration was running headlong into it. Germany, first quarter of last year, was bragging that they had 50% of their energy was generated by renewables, which I'm not against renewables, but they had the second highest cost per kilowatt hour of energy in the world, so they started losing their industrial base. So that's a path we do not want to follow.
Sure.
President Trump saved us from that.
So are you familiar, Commissioner, with this big project in West Texas that Rick Perry and his son are behind? It's amazing. Are you familiar with that, this big one?
I'm not. Which one?
So he announced a couple of weeks ago, actually a little less than a month ago, that they're going to build the world's largest data energy complex. That's how they describe it, with the full matrix of energy sources, nuclear, gas, solar, etc., to produce 11 gigawatts, with 1 gigawatt coming online late 26. That's a bunch.
That is a lofty goal.
I think it's 5,200 acres designated out in West Texas for that purpose, and $30 billion, I think, something like that, just initial cost, and it'll expand way beyond that. I just wonder if maybe this is a blueprint for the future to kind of have these combination energy sites for the combination of energy and data centers, and of course the other thing you're talking about with SMRs, which may be provided by the grid, is lots of energy generated and consumed outside of the grid on the other side.
Yes, I think it's all the above. As far as energy production, the Michigan Public Service Commission, the three of us, we're committed to all the above approach with the focus on affordability and reliability. So you don't want to disrupt the grid. You want to make sure when you flip the lights on that the lights actually come on and you have heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. So those things are very, very important, and we weigh it all through cost. So that there's a way to generate clean, responsible energy with the consumer in mind, and that's our focus, to make sure that every dollar you save on utilities is an extra dollar you have to spend in the economy, and it increases the quality of life for all Mississippians if we get that mix right.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was going to say, is that folks are concerned about possible increasing costs with there being more demand that we're looking at putting on the grid, but it sure seems like that the energy producers, the electricity producers, are meeting the challenge, are responding.
So far, I will say the interesting part, you mentioned some of the synergies that we're starting to see. These companies like Meta and Google and others that are heavy energy consumers, AWS here in Mississippi, they are starting to look at investing in power generation themselves.
Yeah.
So to make sure we guard the ratepayer from subsidizing these big projects. And I know that my colleagues and I on the Mississippi Public Service Commission, we're keeping an eye on the AWS project. And,
sure.
And Amazon's a great partner, but we want to make sure that the cost of the power generation supplied to AWS is not transferred to the ratepayers.
Right.
we want to make sure that what was promised, and I think what is going to be delivered, just trust but verify is where we're at. But
Sure.
that AWS will come and they'll consume enough energy to offset the cost to the ratepayer, to the homeowner, and keep those rates lower.
Yeah.
So it's an economies of scale thing.
Yep, sounds good. Chris Brown, Northern District Public Service Commissioner. Thanks for joining us, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gerard. Good to see you.